Welcome back to our halftime show here on K105. It is another edition of our Cougar Conversations. Today we are being joined by Mr. Teddy White, a former principal and superintendent here in Grayson County. Mr. White, thanks for joining us. You were the principal starting in 1980. What was Grayson County High School like back then?
Well, it was okay by 1980. It was a little rough in fall of 1974. But everything came together. Everybody came together. The teachers were great. The kids in Grayson County were great then. They still are. It was good. I had been at the middle school for 3 years as assistant principal. I'd been teaching at the high school, then to the middle school, and then back to the high school. Everything was ready to go. Kenneth Ray before me and Mr. John Hill Taylor before me had everything set up. Everything was good.
What was it? How did it help you in having you were middle school, you had that background, you had the background at Caneyville High School. How did that help you in adjusting to becoming the principal at Grayson County High School?
Well, I think the best thing about that is I've lived in Grayson County all of my life until recently. But, I went to Shrewsbury Elementary School, went to Caneyville High School, and then to Western and came back, started teaching 8th grade. And then 3 years in the high school math, and then we consolidated. And the consolidation was something that was needed. We had an old building at Caneyville, an old building at Clarkson, and a newer one at Litchfield, but it was getting old. So it was time to come together. So, the school board decided to, and it was great. Being in Caneyville, a small school, and then going to the middle school, which had as many middle school students, double the middle school students that we had high school students in Caneyville, and then coming back to the high school. And I've got to say that one of the good things about it is I had the class of 1984 for 6 years. I had them 2 years at the high school, 2 years at the middle school, and 4 years at the high school. And I've said, and some of them will tell you, that we kind of grew up together because I had them from 7th grade through 12th grade. And at that time, when I went to the high school, I was 31 years old. So I wasn't a whole lot older than some of them. And now that we are older, they know I was not very much older than they were.
You coached as well. I know multiple sports. Do you have any favorite memories from coaching?
Well, no, I love sports and love to coach. I was able to, I started with, Little League Baseball in Caneyville, junior pro basketball, we called it, in the whole county. I helped start that program. I was assistant basketball and baseball coach at Caneyville. I was assistant, when we consolidated, I was assistant basketball coach, along with Jim Alvey was also assistant. And Coach Davenport was the coach. And then I stayed, Coach Bill Lee, which was my old high school coach, came the next year, and I was with him for 2 or 3 years. And, I sound like an old coach, that athletics is great. It's great for the kids. It's, if nothing else, it keeps them busy. And the kids who were in athletics, the kids who were in band, the kids who were in the clubs, never got in trouble because they wanted to participate. And we went from Caneyville, Litchfield, and Clarkson. All we had was basketball, boys basketball, baseball, and cross country the last few years. And now Clarkson had a girls basketball team the last year we were there. The girls basketball was just coming in. But when we went to Grayson County High School, we had, of course, boys basketball, baseball, track and field. I don't think we had golf at the time, but then we had girls basketball and did not have softball. But the girls, until that time, did not have a sport in Grayson County. You had to be, if you want to be a girl athlete, you had to be a cheerleader. And so that was one of the things on consolidation. We were able to offer a lot more academic programs, a lot more athletic programs, a lot more clubs. And it was just good for the county.
I know I was told that one of your sayings that has stuck with students, even from back when you were at the high school, was driving is a privilege, not a right. And I'm told there's a story behind this. What is this story?
Well, the story behind it is we had 1,200, 1,300 teenagers under one roof. That's too many right there, and they still have that. And I still think it's too many under one roof. But we had the parking lot, about 300 student vehicles in the parking lot. And as teenagers, they didn't drive very good back then. They still don't drive very good. So, but to control the parking and to control, I guess, the vehicle traffic or whatever, because in the afternoon, when we let out, it was a mad rush to see who could get out there. And why we didn't have more wrecks than we did, I don't know, but we never had very many at all. But the last week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks of school, things kind of would get out of hand always, and they still do, I'm sure. But to control it a little bit, I would get on the PA system. The reason it became a saying is I'd get on the PA system about 2 weeks before school's out and say, all right, people, remember, driving is a privilege. It's not a right. You do not have to drive to school, and if you don't drive right, you won't drive. And so, yeah, that's something that I still hear. Driving is privilege.
I love it. I know that I have a middle school principal at a line that still will stick into my head. I think you have the choice to make today a great day or not. That choice is up to you. And it
right.
Still sticks into my head, and I love those things.
That's right.
Now here's the question. I know that you might have former students or colleagues that are working with you now, and they're saying, I haven't heard much from him recently. What fills up your time today?
Well, the same thing all retired people in Florida do. We do try to exercise every day, at least walk or ride bicycle and so forth, try to keep a little conditioning. But the old retired people in Florida like to eat, sleep, play cards, play shuffleboard, walk on the beach, a lot of eating out. We have a lot of playing cards. We have a little group, about 16 or 18 of us, who play cards once a week, play shuffleboard once a week. Depends on who is here, because some of them are part-time coming from the north and some of them full-time. And depends on who is coming north. We might eat out every day for a week. And so it's mostly sleep and eat.
It sounds like a pretty good life to me.
It can't get much better than this. And I always I dealt with retirement when I was in the school system. And I always told everyone, retire as soon as you possibly can. That doesn't mean when you get 27 years in, that means when you get your ducks lined up. So when you get all your ducks lined up, retire, because there's nothing like it.
My mom just retired as an educator a couple of years ago, and I think she would be in full agreement with you as well.
I know. I haven't met very many teachers who want to go back. Now, some go back part-time to help out. And some administrators will retire in Kentucky and go to another state. I never wanted to do that. Now, I have some friends that did, and that's great. But once I retired, of course, I had 36 years in. I was ready to get out after 36 years.
I appreciate you taking the time here into our Cougar Conversation segment. We're going to take a break and come back as the halftime show continues here after this.